What's going on, duelists? It's your boy Nick, bringing you today on the channel an update slash optimization to my recently uploaded 60 card insect pile deck for the post Rage of the Abyss format. For those of you new to the channel, welcome. My name is Nick. We do Yu-Gi-Oh content mainly focused around rogue and casual decks alike. If that's the kind of Yu-Gi-Oh that you're interested in, then I highly encourage you to subscribe to the channel. We are currently working our way to 2,000 subscribers, and we are closer now than we've ever been before, and I really need your help to get there. So with the intro out of the way, insects have been a deck that I've been tweaking over the past few weeks, and I've made some changes to the deck list. I guess you can call them, I've optimized the list, I guess is a better way to put it. And I just wanted to update the deck profile just to keep those of you who are interested in building this deck in real life kind of up to speed on some of the changes that I've made after doing some testing with the deck. So this isn't going to be a very in-depth profile. I'm just intending for this to be like a very quick breeze to do, showcasing some of the updates and just going over, some of what the cards do for those of you who missed some of my other videos. But again, with that out of the way, I don't want this video to be very long. We're diving headfirst into the 60 card behemoth. So you know how we do here on the channel, we always start with the monster lineup. So 3 copies of Battle Wasp, Rapier the Onslaught, pretty much the best starter slash extender I think insects have ever received. Basically it places a copy of Battle Wasp Wind, which is a brand new spell card from Rage of the Abyss, onto your field, and then you special summon this card from the hand. And you do so by discarding an insect. And the only stipulation is that you need to control no monsters, or all monsters you control have to be insect. And we'll get to what Battle Wasp Wind does once we get to the spells, but just understand that this card's an incredible starter slash extender for the deck. Also has a nice graveyard effect that allows you to banish it from grave to reduce the level of an insect you control by 1. So very good card there. Up next, we have a playset of Battle Wasp Sting the Poison. Pretty much your starter for the theme, at least for the Battle Wasp engine at least. One cool thing about this deck is that you're playing so many different packages and engines in the list, and each engine slash package has its own slew of starters, which is really nice, and they all can pivot between each other quite fluidly, which I think is really cool. But Sting the Poison upon normal or special allows you to add a Battle Wasp monster from deck to hand, and then as a quick effect, it's like Effect Veiler on the opponent's turn while it's on the field at the cost of tributing another insect monster. So max out on 3 copies of that. Then of course we have our one of extenders, 1 Arbalest, 1 Twin Bow, 1 Pin. We're just on one of all these. There's absolutely no need at all to play duplicates. As long as you know what you're doing when you're piloting the deck, you can recycle these cards very easily with the help of some of your other engines, as well as some of the cards in your extra deck, which again we'll go over as we get through those. But there's no need to max out on copies of this or even play duplicates. As one-ofs, they're all fine. They're not starters in their own right. You just want to be able to grab these cards off of Battle Wasp Wind, which again we'll go over what Wind is when we talk about it. But Arbalest does require your normal summon, but this deck has ways to give you additional normal summons, so it's not your primary summon or normal summon, which is why it's just a one-of. When it is normal summon, though, it does revive a level 3 or lower insect from grave to your field. Twin Bow is just an extender, and Pin is also just an extender. And like I said, all of them as one-ofs are perfectly fine. There's no need to play duplicates. So that wraps up the Battle Wasp engine. Up next is the Ragnaraika engine, of which we're on 3 copies of Evil Seed, 1 Wicked Butterfly, and 1 Samurai Beetle in the main deck. Now, a lot of people, this engine's a little bit divisive, especially as of now, because not many bug decks, at least that I've seen, are still choosing to incorporate the Ragnaraika package. And I really don't understand why. I still think these cards by themselves facilitate a great package in the deck. Yes, Evil Seed being a plant, or the only non-insect in the entire deck, can be a little bit weird at times. But like I said, as long as you know what you're doing and you're experienced with the deck, him being a plant should be a non-issue in a lot of your combos. Again, I also have combos and test hand videos on the channel featuring this deck. So if you want to see what some of the combos look like, I do have literally over an hour's worth of combos between several videos. So take a look in the previous videos I've uploaded. I can link some of them in the description actually, but the Evil Seed or the Ragnaraika package is obviously very strong, and I'm choosing to max out on 3 Evil Seed because it's just a really crazy starter slash extender for the deck, allowing you to dig into your Ragnaraika engine, adding cards to your hand, and just facilitating lots of link plays and extension overall. And then obviously Wicked Butterfly and Samurai Beetle are usually just one-ofs as a combo or engine requirements for the package. So that wraps up the Ragnaraika side. Now we're moving into the Beetrooper side, of which we played 2 copies of Scout Buggy. We have 1 Assault Roller, one Sting Lancer, and one Mighty Neptune in the main deck for our Beetrooper engine. These cards are really strong. I've seen some lists max out on Scout Buggies, but again, I don't want to clog on too many normal summons in the deck. So I feel like playing 2 Scout Buggies perfectly fine. I mean, could you play 3? Sure, but it's not really required in my opinion. And then Assault Roller is just strictly an extender, and then Sting Lancer and Mighty Neptune are just searchable engine requirements. Well, I guess not really. Sting Lancer is more of a requirement. Neptune is just a tech choice that I'm choosing to main deck because it is searchable and gives you some pretty good extension and recyclability, which allows this deck to perform quite well in the grind game. But this is pretty much your Beetrooper package as far as the main deck is concerned. And then the last engine we play as far as like insect packages that help the deck kind of do what it needs to do is a Krawler package, which again is another divisive package. I know some people choose not to run the card because they don't like running the bricks, but this is a 60 card build, so I feel like the one-of garnets are kind of a non-issue. And even if you do draw them, you have so many discard outlets, and since Krawler Soma can summon the bricks, so to speak, from hand, deck, or grave, it never really bothers me all that much. But basically, the Krawler package consists of 3 Soma, 1 Spine, 1 Axon. The flip effect crawlers you choose to play can really be up to you. You're never going to use them for their actual flip effect, so it doesn't actually matter what they are. I mean, you could play, Receptor, Ranvier. I'm forgetting some of the names, forgive me. But I'm just choosing to play Axon and Spine, not because of their flip effects. They're strictly just here as, like I said, the combo of pieces, or engine pieces for the Krawler Soma, which obviously Krawler Soma is just a disgusting extender. Books any monster face down that you control, specials himself from the hand, and then he can reduce his level by 4, or in increments of 2, I should say, and then you special summon that many flip crawlers from your deck up to the levels reduced on Soma. So if you reduce his level by 4, you can special 1 Spine and 1 Axon from your hand, deck, or grave, and it basically takes 1 body and turns it into 3 total, which is really fantastic. So the Krawler package has definitely worked quite well for me in testing, and that's why I'm choosing to play it. Up next is some of our non-archetypal insects, but pretty much just engine requirements that you have to play in any version of the deck that you build, whether you're playing a 60 card or 40 card or not. So that is 3 copies of Resonance Insect. I'm choosing to max out on this card because it's really insane. I've seen some lists that are not like 60 variants, like 40 card variants, choose to play just 2 Resonance, which makes sense. But since this is a 60 card deck, I just want to have access to the card as much as possible, so I'm choosing to max out. But this card is pretty much the reason why all of these archetypes are able to jive with one another. He's the glue that holds it all together. Him in tandem with Gokapol, who is now a one-of. In my earlier builds, I was choosing to max out on both Resonance and Gokapol, but after doing playtesting and really thinking about it, I felt that like maxing out on Gokapols isn't that smart because Gokapol by itself is not a starter. This card does not do anything in order to jumpstart your plays, and its effect when sent to grave happens to be a hard once per turn. So I felt like having like multiples of Gokapol in the deck felt a bit cloggy at times, because there were instances where you would open the card, you would like weave through a line that would discard it, and then later when you would have to like foolish burial stuff, I realized that having additional Gokapols just didn't serve a purpose. Because as a one-of, you can constantly recycle this and just keep using its effect every single turn. So I felt like cleaning up the deck a little bit, and like I said, optimizing the list. 1 Gokapol has worked for me very, very well in testing. I don't think Gokapol needs to be at multiples, even if you're playing a 60 or a 40 variant. It doesn't really matter. I think 1 is more than enough. Then for some other tech choices, I'm on 1 Infinite Antlion. This is a searchable card off of Retaliating Sea that I'm choosing to run because we're also playing the Ultimate Great Insect in the extra deck, another new addition from my previous build. We'll get into that when we get to the extra deck, but Antlion is not only a way for us to summon that fusion monster via its alternative summoning condition, but it also gives us a pretty cool disruption that can surprise our opponent during the battle phase. So Antlion is actually kind of cool as a one-of. Then we're just on 1 Praying Mantis, 1 copy of Supply Soldier of the Indestructible Insects, another really good new extender that also allows us fusion access. 1 Bio Insect Armor. We were already playing this in the previous build, but it gets even better now that we're also playing the Ultimate Great Insect in the extra deck. The 1 Scary Moth, obviously, if we're choosing to go first. And then 1 copy of Beargrim, Shelled Emperor of the Forest Crown in the main deck, just as another alternate win condition. Especially if we're playing under like D barriers and stuff, and we're just not able to have the full access to our extra deck. Beargrim's a nice substitute that we could weave into through the main deck that could help us either break boards and put a lot of pressure on the opponent. So that rounds out the, like I said, the quote-unquote engine requirements that you need to play for bugs. Up next is just some non-engine that we're choosing to run. 3 Ash, 3 Ogre, and then 3 copies of Retaliating Sea. Retaliating Sea is nice because, like I said, with the resurgence of fusion decks and popularity due to the Azamina package, I feel like Retaliating Sea ends up getting a lot more use than it previously would have in other formats. But Retaliating Sea also functions as engine for us because it can search us some of our key combo pieces that are needed. So we're just choosing to max out at 3 in the main. Again, it's a 60 card deck. If it winds up being dead in the matchup we're facing, obviously we side this out for something more appropriate. But that wraps up the monsters in the main deck. Now we're moving into the spells, of which we're on 2 copies of Battle Wasp Wind. This was the card that the Rapier the Onslaught allows us to set directly from the deck, or activate, excuse me. Basically, this functions like Black Whirlwind for Black Wings. Whenever, up to twice per turn, if a Battle Wasp monster is normal or special summoned, you can target that monster and then add a Battle Wasp from deck to hand, whose attack is less than the monster you targeted. And the way you do the combo is you place it with Rapier initially, and then with one of the extra deck cards, which we'll talk about shortly, you bounce it back to hand, and then when you do that, you can reactivate it like from hand naturally, and it allows you to utilize the twice per turn effect again in the same turn. So effectively, you get 4 searches off of this card per turn, which is really incredible. So it can also turn other insects you control into tuners. It just helps you with synchro plays. Very powerful card. We played 2 of it. I would prefer to play 1, honestly, because realistically, this card by itself doesn't do anything. It's not a starter or an extender. In the hands where you draw it, you need to have Battle Wasps in the hand in order for you to get value off of it. Otherwise, it's kind of a brick. But I can't, even at a 60 card, I can't bring myself to cut this to 1, because with my luck, I'm just going to happen to draw the 1 of. And when I do, you need 1 in the deck in order for Rapier to place. Otherwise, you cannot use the Rapier effect. So that's why I'm choosing to play 2. And I'm sure a lot of other people that are on this deck or variants of it will agree. You kind of have to play 2 just in the off chance you draw the 1 of. Up next, though, moving on with the rest of the spells, 3 copies of Ragnaraika Bloom to complete our Ragnaraika package. Bloom allows us, it effectively serves as an additional starter because we can Bloom to search for Evil Seed, and Evil Seed gets us into Ragnaraika combo. So I still think this card has a lot of good value. It also gives us really good recursion and follow-up. Then we're on 3 copies of Armed Rebellion, insane E-Telly-like card for insects, 1 Beetrooper formation, 1 Beetrooper landing, and then to round out the last spell in the main deck, 1 Called by the Grave. Again, just fleshing out our non-engine slots, but really powerful cards. And then the trap card lineup we play is 3 Imperm, again, rounding out more hand traps. And then we play 1 Hunting Dance, 1 Wisteria of Woe, which is a really incredible card, and then 1 Beetrooper Flying Sting. And this wraps up the 60 card count in the main board. Like I was mentioning, now we're going to be jumping into the extra deck, which we're going to probably breeze through this quickly because there's only really one thing that changed. But we're on Cruel Saturnus, we are on the brand new Heavy Cavalry of the Indestructible Insects, and we are also on the 1 copy of the Ultimate Great Insect, courtesy, playmat obviously in the background of said monster. But I was not playing this card previously because I felt like there weren't a lot of ways for us to make it. And at the time, that was true. But now with the inclusion of cards like Infinite Antlion and just like brushing up on more of my lions, I found that getting to this card is not as difficult as I thought it was previously. And to be fair, the card still has a pretty strong effect. Again, if there's any field spell on the board, which, let's face it, most of the meta decks in this format play field spells, Fire King, Snake Eye, Yubel, Tenpai, even Labyrinth to a degree, they have their field spell. Like a lot of the meta relevant archetypes in this format all have field spells. And if they have them on the board, Great Insect just becomes a board wipe during the battle phase, which is pretty cool. So pretty cool inclusion there. Very nice additional boss monster you can bring out. And then for our Synchro Suite, we're on 1 Sachi, 1 Diablantis, 1 Grand Partisan. These are the only synchros you need to be playing. I don't think playing the other Battle Wasp synchros is worth it in my opinion. They just don't have effects that are strong enough to hold their own weight within the format. We only play 1 Xyz, which is just the 1 Cicada King, and then the rest of our extra deck is comprised of just links, generic insect good stuff, 1 Pico Felina, 1 copy of Armorhorn, 1 Skeletal Soldier for the Ragnaraika package, and then for our link 3s is 1 copy of the Adipus, 1 Seraphim Papillion. We are on the 1 copy of the Mantis Monk, And then rounding out the remaining 2 cards is 1 Invincible Atlas and 1 copy of the Stag Sovereign, again to complete our Ragnaraika set of links. And that wraps up the 15 card extra deck. Again, pretty self-explanatory. These cards you're pretty much going to find in any bug list you will look up. They're all pretty much, you know, your bug staples. Probably the best extra deck insects you want to be playing in any insect deck you build. And then for the side deck, again, side deck is always up to personal preference, but I did make some tweaks to the side. We're on 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird on the side. I'm choosing to side deck it because, again, it's not relevant into every matchup, so you just want to side this in as needed, obviously, rather than choose to mainboard it. Now, this is kind of more of a troll card, in my opinion. I don't really know how good this is going to be because I just decided to add this card recently, and I haven't had too much time to test with it yet. But I'm currently, or at least wanting to test with 3 copies of Sneaky Sea on the side. I think this card is kind of slept on. Basically, when your opponent special summons a monster, you can special this card from your hand in face down defense position. And then if you do, during the end phase, you can change it to face up defense. And then if it's flipped face up during the end phase, you get to destroy all special summon monsters on the field, which is obviously really insane. So it's kind of like an end phase board wipe. Again, I'm not saying that this card is like the secret sauce or anything. I just kind of wanted to test it to see how it would work. I have yet to do that, so like don't take this card with a huge grain of salt. I'm not saying that this is like the definitive card you should be running. If there's anything you guys want to suggest in the comments, let me know, because I'm definitely interested in hearing what some other side deck choices I could be playing. But I think Sneaky Sea is a card I just wanted to give at least a bit of a chance to see how it plays in this format. Like I said, I will have to let you duelists know how it ends up working out. But to round out the remaining side is just 2 additional copies of Sting, 1 copy of Kumungus, the Sticky String Kaiju, because again, you can search the Kaiju off of Resonance, and having a searchable Kaiju, you know, just having a searchable out to anything that's annoying is always good. And then we have 3 Cosmics, which are a godsend in this format, followed by 3 copies of Droplet, again, in the side. So that wraps up my optimized 60-card insect pile for the post Rage of the Abyss format. If you guys liked what you saw, then like, comment, subscribe. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of the list, or if you guys have any suggestions. But with that being said, this is Nick hitting that end phase. Stay tuned for more amazing content coming your way. And like I said, be patient with me. I am still working to bring you guys the live duel between Ice Barrier and Volcanic, as well as bringing you a live duel between Ice Barrier and this insect deck you see here before you. So, like I said, you want to make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on those videos when I decide to upload them. But with that being said, this is Nick hitting that end phase. Peace.